This is Bank on Purpose podcast. I'm Bill Pace, Texas Bill Pace, and Jody is
I'm Jody Ogden, and we're here to help you make your money work harder for you so you don't have to.
absolutely. And we have the privilege of talking to Mr. Chris Zink here today. He is our transactional lender expert in the field here, and we're going to get some pointers and tips from him today. So, howdy, Chris, and tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got started, maybe.
Howdy, y'all. Thank you for having me. So how I got started was I've been a land surveyor for the last 15 years, working outdoors, working outside. I've been basically on the other side of real estate for the last 15 years, working residential, working commercial, doing topography surveys and meets and bounds and brand new construction, land surveying, subdividing brand new neighborhoods. I've been on all sides of the world of real estate except for actually the investment world. Last summer, the company that I was working for, they ended up going out of business. So I lost my job. It was right before my son was about to go on summer break. So I decided to take the summer off, and me and my son ended up starting our own business. We were painting addresses on curbs. It was just something fun to do, something to show my son how to make a couple extra bucks. We printed out business cards, flyers, and we rode our bikes around neighborhoods and passed them out. He was my little cameraman. He photographed every address that we painted, and he edited all the videos and created all this content. And we blasted it all over social media, and we had fun all summer long doing that. And when he went back to school in August, I realized how much momentum he helped me build. Now that I took him back to school in August, he wasn't around anymore, so I kind of got hung up and kind of lost momentum a little bit, and I started looking into real estate and just started doing some research, and that's when I found Pace Morby, and I really registered with the guy. I liked what he was talking about, and I found out about his Gator lending community, and it just piqued my interest. So, I did a little more research and decided to go all in with that, and that's where we're at now. That's my introduction to real estate.
Cool. So, Chris, getting started in it and whatnot, what led you down the transactional lending route versus all the different ways you could choose to lend?
I like the fact that obviously we can work from remote. That was a major factor for me, just working from home. And transactional lending is a little bit more secure. It's a little more safe, so that really drew me towards that, just knowing that where the money comes from, where does the money go, where does the money stay, is it protected? That's what drew me towards transactional. It's a little more secure.
So,
Sweet.
for people who don't know what that is, why don't you give us a short on what transactional lending is, please?
Yeah, sure. So it's just short-term funding that is protected by escrow. The money never leaves escrow, basically, as opposed to, a private money lender or a hard money lender where, it's a 3-month term, 6-month term, and the money actually leaves escrow. With transactional funding, the money stays in escrow. It never leaves escrow.
So, since it never leaves escrow, you're basically more protected most of the time, or your money is more protected most of the time. So, what kind of interest does that pull since it's protected money? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Since it's not technically a loan, it's actually defined as points, right? So we go off the point system. So really it just depends. Usually 1 point to 2 points on average is about what we're looking at as far as a return on investment.
Oh, sweet. Sounds like a sweet deal. So,
Yeah,
what kind of
short term, a couple hours, a day or two at the most. It's like
Yeah,
it's pretty.
exactly. Yeah. With transactional, it's 72 hours typically is the longest. On average, it's about 48 hours. Yep.
Yeah, not a bad return at all for that, depending on obviously the size of it. And of course, if you're talking points, the size of it just makes that check even better, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's a great way for an investor to, you know, get into a deal without any money out of pocket, right? And there's no kind of credit check. There isn't any kind of like pay stub checks. You know, we don't need any of that. We're we're funding money on the transaction, not on an asset.
Because they don't have to worry about getting a credit check or anything because it's not ever going to their hand. The escrow company is holding it. So
That's exactly right. Yep,
that's,
exactly.
that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And so is there still due diligence and stuff you have to do then because it's never leaving escrow or what's that look like?
Absolutely. Yeah. So with the title company is where the due diligence comes in. You know, we're checking the domain, we're checking the insurance on the title company or the closing attorney, with you know, depending on the state. But you know, majority of the due diligence is on title company, closing attorney, as opposed to the actual borrower. You know, the borrower doesn't matter, right? As long as the LLC matches the borrower's name, you know, the title company's clean, everything's good on that side, then you know that's about where the due diligence stops right there.
Oh, sweet.
So
So
if you
what
worked
kind
with
of deals work? Go ahead, Bill. Sorry.
I just say if you worked with a title company before, you've already known that they're valid. So you know if you have one person at one in in the state that you could work with, it's like use this title company. We're good to go and quick because we don't have to worry about checking them out.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you know, that's the most important because like for instance, we had a deal about a month ago where the title company sent an email at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you know, we did our due diligence on it, and come to find out, they actually sent the email at 1:30 in the morning, and it's because they were all the way across the world in Iceland, where you know they said their LLC and their title company was in Florida. So, you know, the title company, what they gave us didn't match the information from where it was located, and they were asking for $600,000. So right off the bat, you know that's a major red flag. That's a no-no.
Yeah, I would think so.
I was just, what kind of deals work best with transactional lending, Chris?
Yeah, so there's a couple different types of deals. You've got, you know, your typical EMD, as far as, you know, your earnest money stays in escrow on the A to B side of a transaction. And then there's also another type of transaction called a double close, which is where, you know, like a wholesaler can reach out to somebody like myself as a transactional lender, and we can bring 100% of the purchase price. So that way the wholesaler can become partial owner of the property for, you know, split 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it takes to sell it to the end buyer, the C party. And then there's a third transaction, which is called a seller carry, also known as a Morby method. Yeah, so those are your three. There's basically three types of, you know, deal structures for transactional funding.
Gotcha. And I know we're going to go through a little bit more in Morby method because that's your preferred method to start practicing in. But so what, tell us about the last deal that you done. Tell us a little bit about it and how it went and maybe the structure of it, how somebody that's wanting to get into the business would look at this deal to not lose money. You know what I mean?
So the last deal I did was a double close, and it was a wholesaler had reached out to me. He wanted to lock up a property that was $220,000, and he already had the end buyer in mind, right? So the wholesaler is the A to B party, the end buyer would be the C party. So there's two separate transactions that happen on that side, right? There's the A to B transaction and the B to C transaction. So the B to C party, or the B to C contract, right? They already had their funds in escrow. He reached out to me as a transactional lender, and I bring my funds to escrow for the A to B contract. So we close the A to B, the seller makes his money, they close the B to C, the wholesaler makes his money, And then at the end of the transaction, the C party, the end buyer, walks away with the property, and everybody's happy. It's a win-win for everyone.
Nice.
And that's how they get around some of the problems we're having with the realtors, as far as saying that they're not doing due diligence, and they're not representing the person because they did physically buy it, even if they owned it for 10 minutes. They did physically buy it. They are the buyer, and then 10 minutes from now they are the seller. So that's
Yeah,
if
exactly.
I'm understanding that's correct. That's the way it works, right?
Yeah, there's a couple different reasons why a wholesaler would double close. Um, there's some states they do have regulations. Sometimes the contract is not assignable, and another reason would be that hedge funds actually prefer to double close it. Hedge funds don't like to buy on assignments because it comes with too much legality. And then, the most popular reason for a double close is to protect the profits of, the wholesaler. It's kind of like it's a A to B, and then they turn around and they sell it to the B to C, right? So nobody gets to really see what the profits are. Everybody's kind of protected in that space.
So if they make a
Gotcha.
crazy amount of money on the first deal, they don't have to tell the other guys. Goes, well, I only made $1 and you made $10. So
Yeah,
they-
exactly. Exactly. And as long as, everybody's happy with what they negotiated, then, at the end of the day, then it's business, right? And everybody wins.
people fuss about that. Is like, well, even though they agreed to it, once they see it on a piece of paper and they look at it and they're going, well, you made so much money and I didn't make that much money. It was like, it's not fair. It's like, so if you double close, you don't have those issues because all that is in the past on a separate deal, and now you're on this new deal. You're selling it from this much to this much, so they
Yeah,
don't know that
exactly.
you made $100,000 or $20.
And it happens to us every day, right? I mean, when we go to Costco or Amazon, wherever you shop, everything we buy is double closed. We don't get to see the price that, the wholesaler paid for it.
Right. You're not seeing the price of those grapes when they left the field. You're seeing the price of those grapes when they're sitting in Walmart. Then they've been marked up by 10 truckers and 2 or 3 wholesalers, and yeah,
Yep, yep, exactly.
So if somebody was brand new looking at getting into this and starting to lend, Chris, what would you suggest the steps they take to make sure that they do it right and not get into it where they don't know and lose money?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say definitely surround yourself with a community. Definitely look into the Gator community because there's a lot of great a lot of great individuals in there. That's kind of where I'm stuck is like I had to get on a team, because for the longest it was like, shit, how do I get started, right? So I had to get on a team so that way I could white label somebody because I don't have thousands of dollars sitting around, right?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, you're telling me the best way to get started is to get in a community, get on a team, and then after you're going to learn the process from the team, and then when you're at the point that you're ready to step off the team and do it on your own, then there's that way too. And then between all that, there's basically, if you don't have the money to get started, well, on the transactional lending, there's somebody that's got the money that's willing to put the money up as long as you've done all your homework, the due diligence, and protected their money. So they'll just white label it to you so you can lend their money.
That's
Right.
exactly right. Yep, yep, that's exactly right. I don't know how I would word that. I don't know how I should word that to answer your question.
Just like that, man. I would
You just
that
did,
so
right?
so the answer is basically get on a team, learn the process so you ain't losing money, and then find somebody to white label money to you if you don't got it to lend your own.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
And being in a community is the next best thing to being on a team, because that's where you find your team at. People who are
Absolutely.
trained the same, have the same goals, have the same training, the same documents and things like that. And they've also done several of these before, so that they can help you make sure you're doing it properly and safe, so that you're not gonna get yourself in a bad way because, like you said, somebody might be in Iceland when they're supposed to be in Florida.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's kinda like all of real estate, right? Like, that's kinda what they never really talk about, except for in Pace's community, but other than that, it's like, it is important for us to have community. Like
Right.
that's why we have this accountability group, right? Is like because
Somebody to call on when you need a question answered, or just to say, double check my numbers for me, please.
absolutely.
Friends are really good to have.
Sweet. So what's one thing you've learned about people since you've been in business or from doing these kinds of creative deals, Chris?
Oh man, surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with go-getters. Surround yourself with people who are going to protect your back and also have your front. People that you can call on for support, people that you can call on maybe to answer some questions, maybe some people who are going to hold you accountable. Surround yourself by go-givers. Surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do so you can learn, become a teacher and also a student at the same time. Just that is very important, is to be surrounded by people who are doing what you want to do.
And you can help the next guy, next help them get the next step up. You've done one or two deals, and they haven't done any, so you've got that extra experience that they haven't. That first 2 or 3 deals are just scary. So it's really nice to have somebody to hold your hand and walk you through those things. So just
Like
like
Absolutely.
how,
they helped you, you can help the next group down, and it just keeps going.
yeah, I like how you said that. Definitely how you become a learner, but you become a teacher at the same time, and that way you teach the guy below you. And I think it's really important right there to become a person of resource. So them guys already doing it. How are you going to get into that group and get in the right group of people unless you're being a go-giver yourself? They don't want to just give their time and not just feel wasted on it. So when they give you advice, obviously you go and get it done and come back to them. That's what the value of a good mentor is, or being a good mentee is when you actually do what your mentor says to do. And then the bonus side, you can become that good mentor to the next guy too.
To reach out an olive branch and help everyone grow, right? Help the next person grow.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's actually one of the great things I think that Pace's communities do better than any other communities I've been in, is basically everybody's there to help. And I've been on hundreds of calls with people, and it's always the same way. Well, what can I do for you? And then they're asking the same question. What can I do for you? It's just better when everybody's trying to help everybody versus cut the competition out. It just doesn't work that way versus just, hey, let's help. We can all go and do better, become better from helping versus competing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Collaboration over competition.
There you
There's
go.
100%.
millions and
Love
millions of houses out there, and they all sell it's like millions and millions times every couple of years they start all over again. So hundreds of millions. I mean, it's like you're not gonna run out of deals. So people
it. Yeah,
don't need to be greedy, and they don't need to be competitive. Just help people out. Just
Help people out. I believe in strength in numbers. I grew up playing sports my whole entire life, so a major impact. It's powerful to be on a team and to have that support and to help each other out. That's what wins championships. Nobody can do this alone. We all need help.
And it goes both ways. So when when you're at the bottom and you're getting help, you want to make sure that you're reciprocating back. Like, okay, if they help you get a deal, that you maybe cut them in on it or something. It's like, here's a percentage of the deal or something, or here's some equity, or don't just take and take and take. You want to be a giver and a receiver.
absolutely. That take only lasts so long until you're gone, 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 because nobody wants to be taken advantage of all the time. So
That's
even
right.
even in a community of go givers, they only going to give to you so much if you're not giving back. And
Right.
So true.
mm, so, how does this fit in your lifestyle, Chris? I mean, the short-term lending, does it make it to where you control more of your lifestyle, or why it versus the other ways? You know what I mean?
That's a good question. I actually just recently had to go back to work. I just got a W-2.
Hmm.
And so now I'm like trying to find this work balance, and it is becoming an obstacle, having to work and then coming home and being a family man and, juggling those two full-time jobs and at the same time, still focusing on my transactional lending business. It's a handful, but the beautiful thing about it is, like I said, it is remote, right? So
Mhm.
I do have the opportunity to work from my phone, from my computer, and wherever I'm at, right? I'm able to answer emails, answer texts, answer phone calls, whatever it may be. So just fitting that in and making it work to my advantage as best as I can right now is kind of where I'm at. Eventually I do seek to go full time with it and really just scale this business so that way I can buy back my time, be able to focus more on my family and have some more family time with the kiddo and maybe get away from the W-2 world.
I love that the flexibility that it has. So, W-2 is great because you got the solid income to fall back on, but lending has the flexibility so you can do the W-2 even as busy it is. You can still do the family stuff as busy as it is and still get the lending in there because of all the flexibility and whatnot. And so, yeah, obviously, your long-term plan is to get rid of the W-2 and do the lending, but if it was just an extra income, or maybe if it was somebody building their retirement, they could literally do it around their W-2 because lending is that flexible. I love that.
That's exactly right. It is that flexible. You can squeeze it in 1 or 2 hours a day, and there is a lot of flexibility and a lot of room to grow. Absolutely.
Sweet.
Check emails and things like that after the kid goes to bed or while you're not watching a movie. It's like, oh, we can watch a movie or we can answer a few emails. Let's see which one we want to do.
Right, right. Or just wake up early. Wake up and make a pot of coffee before everybody wakes up.
That's one way to do it too. Some people do it that way.
Oh yeah.
Wherever you squeeze it into your schedule, and as long as you get it a little bit done here and a little bit done there, and still take care of the things you have to take care of.
That's it.
Most people would be real surprised about that right there. Just like you said, just tweaking your clock a little, frees up a lot of time. We don't realize how much time is wasted just by doing little things that turn into big things. I mean, the biggest thing for me is scrolling lately. Somebody send me something and I got to check it out, and then an hour's gone by, and I'm like, freaking A, I was on here for just that one thing to see if that was important from that person, and now I've wasted an hour. You be more diligent with that and whatnot, and you can buy a lot of your time back right there just so you can do like the lending and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing I've learned from, creating this business is how important it is to time block, where maybe you can allow yourself 30 minutes or an hour to, scroll social media or entertainment, watch a movie, watch a TV show, maybe watch a football game, but then if you create those habits to where you have a schedule where you can time block, then hey, at this particular time, right? This is my time to drink my coffee and check my emails, and this is my lending business time. This is my family time, and maybe just kind of sort it out like that. It definitely helps to time block and stay a little bit organized.
That way, somebody doesn't get your kid doesn't get missed or your wife doesn't get missed. Then things still happen that you need to happen. So you schedule around those things.
Schedule around it. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but it's a work in progress, that's for sure.
Every day is. Every day is. Call it life.
Yeah.
So you have your number on your screen there, 469-951-5895. That's where is that the best way to contact you, or you have other ways you'd like to be contacted for these type of deals?
Yeah, that's a good way. You can text me or call me, or if you would like to send an email, my email is chris@luckyduckconcepts.com.
Lucky Duck Concepts. I like that, man. How'd you come up with that name?
Well, I'm glad you asked because there's a park right next to my house. There's a walking trail and it has a creek that goes through this walking trail. Every day I try to ride my bike over there, just kind of take care of my physical fitness and, just to kind of get away and get some fresh air. And there's a pond that's over there. And every time I go over there to this pond, there's always a whole flock of ducks. And, you know, I like to just go over there and just imagine it being my land and my property, and this is my pond, these are my ducks. I always thought it'd be cool to have like you know, some ducks on some property and watch them migrate throughout the seasons, you know. So I always thought, you know, like, hey, since I'm over here looking at these ducks, I feel like a lucky duck because I'm blessed with this opportunity to breathe this air and, you know, have this opportunity to ride my bike and see this beautiful mother nature. And, you know, so yeah, I've prayed, I've cried, I've laughed. You know, me and my son, we've had a lot of moments at this park. So I was like, you know, hey, yeah, I'm a lucky duck. This is the
Yeah.
name of my business.
I love it. I love it for more than just that one reason too. Because actually, I read a book about a guy that was his mental attitude, pretty much the same way, and he's obviously a multi-millionaire now. But he started off as a bouncer and then grew to, he's the guy everybody comes to when they want something impossible done, and he gets it done. So he's the guy that gets it done, and that was his mindset was just like your lucky duck. It was I get things done. And
Yeah. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing to have that opportunity.
absolutely, yep. So yeah, I can see you having your lot of your place and land and a lake on it with your ducks, just because that's where your mindset's at.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Chris. Well, what's other than obviously the ways to get a hold of you? What are you looking for that we can point somebody your direction if we hear them saying something, or what are we
Yeah.
looking
So maybe any kind of wholesaler who, you know, is maybe needing some funding for their double close, or, you know, if there's any kind of investor who, you know, here is maybe doing a Morby method, or, you know, they have a seller carryback on their table and they need transactional funding to get approved for a hard money lender, or, you know, a DSCR lender. You know, in either one of those ways that transactional funding can be provided, you know, if you hear anything about it, reach out to me.
Well,
Absolutely.
I look forward to the next one because I want to know some stuff like that seller carryback and information about those. So we'll have to schedule another one since we're out of time this time, and get that kind of information on that and learn some more stuff from you.
Absolutely. I'd be honored to. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate you being here, Chris.
Yep, appreciate
Absolutely.
your time.
All righty. Bye bye.
All right, bye. Have a great one.
Thanks, you too.
Y'all, that's us here on Bank on Purpose, and we will see y'all next time.
Sounds good. This is Bill.
This is Jody, and we're out.